Arduino started as a project that we did at the Interaction Design Institute Ivrea back in 2005, but it has some roots in previous projects that we worked on because we wanted to make a tool for our student that was more modern than what was available on the market at the moment, especially because the tool that everybody was using, this thing called the Basic Stamp, in Italy was costing at the time about 76 euros, that's like $100. So it was very expensive for the students. They wouldn't do too much work because they didn't want to spend money on buying many boards that expensive. So what happened, we started to look at possible alternatives, and also we were working on processing, a processing language, because Casey Rees, one of the founders, was one of the teachers in Ivrea. So we thought, why don't we try to figure out how to make processing for the hardware? So we worked with the student who did a thesis on the topic, and that produced the wiring platform. And Hernando Barragan, is a Colombian student, worked on it. And then after Hernando made wiring, we started to figure out how could we make the whole platform even simpler, even cheaper, even easier to use. And then we started to essentially re-implement the whole thing as an open source project. We wanted it to be open source so that everybody could kind of help and contribute.
We'd been using wiring boards and wanted to port a bunch of programs to a cheaper microprocessor, basically, to install in some installations. And I helped write like a little compatibility layer.
So it was just, for me, it was a case that this is a tool that I could see using myself, and therefore I could believe in actually helping to get it out to a wider world.
After the first prototyping, there was the needing or the desire to start to manufacturing something in a more professional way.
A few months after meeting, he said, "Hey, Nate, SparkFun, you guys should carry this thing called Arduino." And I looked at it, and at that time it was the through-hole version, the RS-232 version. And I said, "This looks very, very interesting," but I didn't really understand it. And I hadn't wrapped my head around it. And so he said, "You know, Tom, I don't think it's for us. We don't really do kits. We're not sure how people are going to react to this." And so I decided against it. It was a few months later, 6, 7 months later, that Arduino came out with the full USB version and fully assembled and tested and ready to go. And Tom, again, came to us and said, "Hey, SparkFun, you should really carry this." And I said, "Oh, okay, well, I'm not really sure. You know, we'll bring in 20 and see how they sell." And that was the first 20 out of about 40,000 at this point.
Os quiero hablar de Arduino. Arduino es el último proyecto que lo terminé la semana pasada con el director técnico de este instituto y le dije, ¿no crees que sería bueno que hiciéramos algo que pudiéramos ofrecer gratis? Dice, ¿gratis? Digo, sí.
Y a partir de entonces, bueno, pues también a través de Gustavo y de seguir el contacto con David, pues organizamos un taller de Arduino en octubre de 2005, que creo que fue uno de los primeros talleres, si no el primer taller que se organizó de Arduino. El último día David propuso hacer pequeños prototipos, se llamaba "Trae tus cacharros viejos y hagamos algo con ellos". Y de ahí surgieron proyectos que fueron muy interesantes, entonces la gente continuó haciendo pequeños instrumentos electrónicos, pequeños robots.
Ahora ya está.
Just start the confetti video.
Yeah.
Maybe. So this is sort of our demo bay where we have a number of our projects set up. And this was a project we did for a single night event that used Arduino as sensors. And we have it set up here. The way it works is we made these giant maracas that when you shake them, they create these explosions of confetti. And in the original install, it was on a giant sphere, but here, each one of these has an accelerometer in it and a Bluetooth controller, and is sending it to the computer, and then we're generating these graphics. And it's all related to a specific event where we wanted people to lighten up. It was at a cocktail party, and we wanted people to really let loose and feel more free than they typically do at these sort of events. And maybe we should show you quickly the Luminode project over here. This was a project we did early on in the lab, thinking about network lighting. And the way it works is there's sort of a family of lights, and the main light here, you pick it up and you can sort of tune a color by twisting it. It'll set the color, and then these others are the sort of the children. As you sort of play with them, they'll all start to come into sync. So we're really interested in these social relationships that people create through technology. So in this case, it was sort of syncing a number of people up who are all using the same thing. And then we sort of extended it out to use architectural scale lighting and off-the-shelf lighting equipment.
El problema que hay es que por culpa de la estandarización y por culpa del sistema de patentes, se cerraba la posibilidad para mucha gente de aprender cómo funcionaban las cosas. Y quedaba reservado a un grupo de gente que son los hackers, que por tener mayores conocimientos técnicos podían o se sentían con la capacidad de abrir un elemento electrónico y mirar qué es lo que había dentro. Y bueno, a mí el hardware abierto significa volver a tener la posibilidad de mirar qué hay dentro de las cosas, pero hacerlo de una forma que esté permitido, o sea, que sea éticamente correcto, que sea legal y que permita mejorar la educación. Entonces, para mí el hardware abierto realmente es un sistema que permite a la gente educarse en cómo funcionan las cosas, cuando vivimos en un mundo en el que hay más ordenadores que personas. Entonces, tenemos que comprender cómo funcionan las cosas, ya no para poder repararlas, sino sencillamente para comprender cómo funciona nuestra vida.
Y es una herramienta fantástica para que los chavales de esta edad tengan un contacto con un montón de realidades que viven. O sea, primero para que aprendan que hay otro lado, aparte del lado de consumidor y de usuario y mando a distancia con los electrodomésticos, que hay una forma de conocerlos por dentro y de tener el control otra vez, ¿no? Porque estos chicos ahora mismo todos tienen un montón de cacharrería que apenas saben cómo funciona. Con el Arduino puedes destripar un poquito cómo funcionan las cosas y por lo menos mostrar algunos esquemas que a ellos les permitan tener una cierta visión del mundo tecnológico que va a haber alrededor. Y luego es muy divertido. Es muy divertida y sirve para enseñar electrónica, sirve para enseñar a pensar, sirve para enseñar a tener proyectos a medio plazo y trabajar en equipo, para participar en una comunidad, documentarse.